Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Speak No Evil. John, this film really ruined my image of your people. It's they just seem so peaceful, and
Which ones, the Dutch or the Danish?
your people, like all of them. Yeah.
Just like
The Scandinavians.
the Scandinavian whites.
Yes, exactly. Joining me tonight, first up from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
Next up from Manhattan, New York City, please welcome John Schnars.
The Dutch called it New Amsterdam.
So we were gonna do this movie last week, and if you go back 2 weeks ago and you listen to the show, I was like, I'm sick. And then it kept getting worse, and like fever and sweats and chills. And like, so basically I had the flu. That then by day 9, I was like, maybe I should go to the doctor. And then people at work were like, you should go to the doctor. So turned out I had bronchitis and a sinus infection. So then they put me on antibiotics, which I just remembered I'm forgetting to take my last one right now. So
If you get, as long as you get most of the way, you're probably okay.
I'm still not 100%. Like I was just
Well, the
telling
text
Casey I'm
thread
still
was
struggling.
The text thread was not surprising to Casey or I don't think, but it was also like slightly concerning because you were sort of like, yeah, I'll be good. Like I'll power through. And then I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it.
No.
I think I'm done, guys.
I think I died.
The day, because I think I asked to push to Thursday, and then the day before that I worked late, and like, man, I worked like we just had a project at work. We were trying to get out the door. I worked like 13, 14 hours that day. And when I got up, I was like, oh, I might be like half dead right now. Like
That'll do it.
the fever had like hardcore comeback. It was brutal, dude. Like this flu is messed up.
My 6-year-old got the flu and had it. It was like she missed 6 days of school, like 5 days weekend, and then missed the next Monday.
Yeah, so both of my kids had it while that was ongoing. They missed an entire week. Just crazy town.
Yeah, Delaney even had it for about a week too.
And what you don't think about too, when they miss that much school, it's like then trying to get them back into a normal. When you try to just get them back to school, they go feral over the course of a week. Like
no. I'm just like, shut your goddamn mouth. You're going to school now. It's actually
I mean same, but like it was a little bit of a struggle. Anyway, so we're back. This was the movie we were gonna do last week, so we didn't skip one. John, you
little miscommunication about what we were watching.
There was no
with the happy byproduct.
No. Yeah. There was zero miscommunication about what we were doing. I don't know. I was like,
there was.
We'll just do the same.
I wish I could screenshot the text messages where I'm like,
please,
are we fucking sure what we're doing here? And you were like, whatever, guys. Or
no,
I don't know what you said.
I said same movie,
he was
right?
on drugs and delirious.
We decided same movie. Casey was going hard for what's the name of this movie?
Christmas, Bloody Christmas. I wasn't going that hard for it.
He really wasn't going that hard.
No.
He was going like medium.
Casey was going hard enough though to the point where I could see how you might think we were beginning to talk about it this week, but we had already long ago settled like when I said let's push that problem was that conversation was last week.
Dude, I don't know what fucking day it is.
Anyway, what's
Christmas is in 11 days apparently. Are you guys familiar with this?
How many stars out of 5 would you give Christmas, Bloody Christmas?
For me, it was like a 3.5.
I think we might still do it, right?
Yeah, 3.5's a little generous. It's probably closer to a 3. I enjoyed the effects.
Casey 3.5. That's a little suspect right there.
Man, like I don't know. I could actually talk about it a lot. I would say I appreciated what it was trying to do. I just thought the execution was not there. Like it's like 50% of the way. It's funny. So it's the VFW guy. I loved VFW, and it has some of the same charms. It does not cohere in the same way that VFW does, and like it's like aggressively shaggy. Like I mean, it was a choice they were making. And I just like wasn't there for it. I was sort of just like, come on, like, I don't know.
I set it up to Eric and John as putting it as the story's super corny, but it's got good 80s like slasher gore.
The first couple kills are so poorly shot, which I think is a choice, but it's so bad you don't know what's happening. Like, it's this first person camera thing, and you're just it's incomprehensible.
Better or worse than Santa's Sleigh?
Worse, I would say.
God. I mean,
Worse than Santa's
I
Sleigh.
hated that movie when we watched it. Famously, that was very early days.
That was the first year. That might
I
have been
suspect if I watched Santa's Sleigh again, I'd be like, "Wow, this is like fucking amazing." Compared to
that might have been our like first Christmas that year.
Yeah,
I've always been a fan of Santa's Sleigh from the beginning. Just put it out there. So I did like that better than Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
All right, y'all. Well, let's jump into it here and review Speak No Evil.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
The good news is, John, you're still alive after watching that movie. I'm still alive after being violently ill. So they can't get rid of us that easy.
I mean, it takes more than one mediocre film to take me down.
You know what I was watching? You know what I was watching
been a lot of
today? Speaking of mediocre films, I was watching The Eye from 2008 today.
What? That was another one that I think was like an early disagreement because I think you
I 100% would have been like, yeah, I don't know, not so bad.
Well, what's her name? You were real
Jessica Alba.
hard on, you know.
We know.
And,
we know.
we've been down there. It's been a long time. Jessica Alba, she's more mogul now.
I feel like Katie Holmes took over all those low rent Jessica Alba roles after a while.
Yeah, well, and Jessica Alba's worth like 100 times whatever Katie Holmes is worth at these days. So.
You think so?
Yeah.
Katie Holmes got that.
Dude, she's like Jessica Alba's like a billionaire. Like,
Katie Holmes got that Tom Cruise divorce money though. So.
No. Come on.
All right, John.
Yeah, he's got good lawyers.
John, please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word, sojourn. That's SOJOURN, sojourn. Simple definition here. A temporary stay. It can also be used as a verb. Stay somewhere temporarily. Sojourn. Comes to us from the Latin sub and diurnum. Diurnum means day and sub means under.
To journ.
And there you go. That comes all the way through the Old French, sojourn.
Old French. Ooh, I don't know if we've done that before.
Sojourner.
Mm-hmm. John, tell me about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I did not know a ton about this going in. This was certainly well recommended or recommended more than once to us. It comes from director Christian Taftrup. Taftrup. He is... Yeah, I don't know. We don't know. We don't know any of the other things he's done. He's done some other movies. This is not his first movie, but he's the writer director here. He wrote it with Mads Taftrup, which I assume is a brother.
Your brother?
No.
Gotcha.
You can check out Mads. He does not look like me. Christian, maybe.
Some of the
like
people in this
relative.
movie. Some of those people in this movie did.
Yeah. No. Fair.
I feel
they
like
were white.
The ill-fated father could have been in the Schnorr's family tree somewhere.
So that is, his name's Bjorn, which I love.
Perfect.
Love the name Bjorn.
Mm-hmm.
Bjorn and Louise. We have two couples in this film. There's Bjorn and Louise. They are Danish, meaning they're from Denmark. And then you've got Patrick and Karen. They are Dutch. These two couples. They meet on vacation in Italy. They sort of like hit it off, and then they like go home, and Bjorn and Luis are sort of the main. They're the main characters. We're sort of following them. They have a daughter named Agnes. Patrick and Karen have a son named Abel, and Bjorn, Luis, they go back to Denmark after their vacation in Italy, and they're like whatever. They're living like it's like a nice sort of modern city life they're living there. But Bjorn definitely unfulfilled. I think there's sort of like maybe a midlife crisis in miniature going on. Luis maybe a little less so, but Patrick, they get a Christmas card from Patrick and Karen, and an invitation to say, hey, come visit us in the Netherlands, in Holland. They keep calling it Holland, which it's funny because I don't know what the like rules are about when it's called Holland, when it's the Netherlands, but they keep calling it Holland.
I spent a not insignificant amount of time during this movie looking at a map to try to figure out where these people lived, where they were because then they're on a ferry, and I'm like, okay, well, like I don't know, because at one point
there's
they're
a
like,
lot of fjords.
At one point they're like, we could just
fjords?
drive, and I'm like, what? And I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, you could have driven. It's
Yeah.
Europe. Who knew?
You would like drive. It would be like
go like down
a long way around.
Yeah.
But they take a ferry. I mean, it's still a long journey. Like it's still whatever. It's like a day's worth of traveling to go meet them. But they're going to spend like a long weekend, basically. Their kids are the same age, boy and girl. And so it's sort of like, these are people we don't know that well, but let's do it. Let's take a chance. We never had fun. Let's have some fun. And I mean, that's the whole plot of this movie. Like Bjorn and Louise show up, Patrick and Karen. It's not even immediately obvious like what the hell the story is, but they're just like 15% off kilter. Like it's just a little weird.
Yeah.
Now it gets increasingly weirder. And Patrick, even when they're in Italy, there's like a couple of moments where he's like vaguely aggressive or sort of like confrontational. And I don't know, like it's always slightly unsettling. And the film just ratchets that up.
You know what this is, John?
Moment.
It's just more backing evidence for my anti-vacation stance.
Why take vacations?
Because this could happen.
It's funny. So I was talking with a friend of mine at work about this movie, and the point that she was making is that, and like this, not to like jump too far ahead, but like a lot of the sort of like tension in this movie is driven by the behavior and the choices that Bjorn and Luis, exhibit or the choices they make, which like at any given time, it's sort of like you kind of get it, but you're also like, what the fuck? But the point she was making is like, oh, well, the Danes, they're just so polite. Like a lot of it is just about how they're so unwilling to cause any, friction in this relationship. And Patrick and Karen sort of like ratchet up. Yeah. And exploit on that. So we'll talk about it. I think it's worth not getting into spoilers as we work through it. We can get into them, but sure. Let's spoil it.
No, I think most of the meat of the movie is pre-spoilers, I think.
Yeah.
All right, Casey, what'd you think?
All right. So, I think this was a hard movie to watch. It was very brutal, but at the same time, I think I liked it. I was thinking about it for a couple days afterwards. I mean, it really sticks with you and kind of gets in your head, and I appreciate that. And it is a slow burn, but there was something. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you were just saying there, Schnars, and a tiny spoiler and whatnot. But we get to Patrick, and I think Patrick's performance is really what kind of won this over for me. Like Schneider said, when we first meet him, there's like one or two things that makes him seem like he's just a little bit off center. But once Bjorn and his family get to their house for their trip and whatnot, and just watching him as he slowly keeps ramping things up throughout the course of the movie is really what made this for me. Just because you could feel that there was something wrong. You didn't know what was going to go wrong. And things build, and after a while, you're just kind of wired and waiting for it. And I thought it was really effective as far as storytelling and stuff, and it really sucked me into it. So I enjoyed it quite a bit for as brutal as it was.
John.
Yeah. Oh, man. I agree pretty strongly with Casey. I had a really hard time watching this movie. It's probably It's one of the most brutal movies we've watched in a long time. And like it's a weird thing to say because there's honestly not there's like virtually no violence in this movie right up through the last I don't know 15 minutes or so. I mean, you sort of start to know where it's going, but a lot of it is psychological. A lot of it is sort of the tension that's building around what could or might happen. You also, I mean, there's also this sense. I mean, you do know you're watching a horror movie or a movie that's been marketed as a horror movie, so it's sort of like something bad has to happen. But the way that it builds is, I mean, it is a prototypical sort of like slow burn type of thing. Um, I agree completely. The Patrick performance
Which
is
one's
fucking
Patrick?
great.
The crazy?
He's the like the yeah, he's like the bad dad. He's so fucking dark and like he he goes back and forth between being like, he's just like a little bit of a bore, like a he's like a little whatever, he makes poor decisions or he's uncouth. He's there but
When you say
and then it's
boar,
like,
you mean
oh,
like boorish.
yes, boorish,
Yeah.
sorry. He's not like an animal. I mean, I guess maybe it's the same word. I actually don't know. He he's like uncouth, but then to like no, he's actually like threatening. Like it's like vaguely threatening to like all the way up to like no, he's actually threatening. He says some shit to the dad, to both of them that you're just like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can so easily imagine yourself in their situation. The thing that made this such a difficult watch for me, and like so to Casey's point, I found this incredibly difficult to watch. I have found myself thinking about it a lot after the fact, which to me is like a signal like, no, it's a well-made movie. It's a very well-made movie. Like so well made that I was like uncomfortable, almost to the point of like not enjoying watching it.
Yeah,
But I've
it's
also
one of
like
those for
thought
sure.
about it a bunch. And so I've come away over now, it's like been like 2 weeks since I watched it with a very high level of respect. The stuff that made me most uncomfortable was about the kids. And
Yeah.
like it's obviously a huge spoiler. Like we don't need to get it, but like there's no punches pulled. Like this is not like the kids are gonna be cool. Like some really fucking dark stuff goes on in this movie, and like there's no there's not like a genre patina of like, isn't this crazy? It's like, no, this is fucking super grim and dark, and like you just have to like stare it in the eye in a very uncomfortable way. And like there's one scene in particular that I mean it's so hard to watch that I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it now and it's making me like sick to my stomach. So I like struggle with how much do I like this movie. It's really well done. But it is fucking dark. It's like I could I recommend this to anyone? Like I don't know. I'd be like, hey, do you like feeling terrible when a movie's over? Like you're gonna love this movie. But it's also like really what like it is effective in making you feel emotions, and that's like
Yeah.
more than you can say for a lot of movies.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty on board with that take. As you know, John, I struggle with subtitles a little bit.
I thought you were going to say you love when horrible things happen to children.
No. But so I think it's a testament to like, and this is a slow burn, but I think it's a testament to how well it works that I was like pretty with it the whole time, like pretty into it.
Mhm.
I will say that I sort of had the benefit that you guys like hardcore in some ways oversold how disturbing it was. Like at some point, I don't know if it was you, John, maybe somebody said like, this is one of the most disturbing movies we've ever reviewed. And I actually would disagree with that, only maybe just because of my expectation. Because when you say that, I go Serbian film. And like Serbian film, I would argue, is like one of the few pieces of art I've ever seen that I would argue like, this probably shouldn't exist. Whereas like, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
that about this movie. Like, yes,
Yeah.
the ending is very disturbing. I also was still half fevered watching this. So like, but it's pretty messed up. But like what I think the ending, which we'll get to, like overshadows, is how deeply, intensely uncomfortable the rest of the movie is before you even get
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
I think it goes without saying that I'm not going back for that kid's stuffed animal. And like it's even more brutal that she had it. It was in the
She
car,
had it the
which
whole
is some
dude.
shit a
It's
kid would do, and you're just
such-
like, oh
it's
goddamn.
so brutal.
There's no way I'm going back. But it is like that is a theme that's really well played with throughout the movie, is like being polite to the point of like, I think Elizabeth put it like, I being polite to the point of like, I would dig my own grave if you asked me to, like before you killed me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's really what these people are kind of experiencing here. What's kind of amazing is the way like it's like the couple keeps pushing the boundary of how weird they can make it, and then when they see they've finally rattled them, then they pull all the way back over the line, and then suddenly they're like, what? It's very like gaslighty. It's like just like, oh, listen.
Oh,
I mean, it's
Yeah,
full when they
100%.
come back the next day and they're like explaining away everything that happened the night before. It's so gaslighty. Like,
yeah.
so for me, like, weirdly, some of my most uncomfortable scenes, the scene where the girl's asleep in their bed is so uncomfortable. Like, that's just messed up.
The dad is naked.
Right.
Yeah.
He's naked.
Right. And I'm like sitting here
It's
thinking about
so
this
fucked,
now, and I'm
dude.
hoping that they shot that with like, I'm hoping they composited that shot with like split screen or something. Like, but even beyond that, it's the bad dad, if that's what we're gonna call him,
Yeah.
walking
Patrick.
into the bathroom at various points when they're in there. It's a subtle thing in a movie with like a bunch of not subtle things, but that's such a
Oh, yeah.
weird psycho power move. Like he does it to the wife when she's in the shower, and then he does it to the husband, I think, when he's brushing his teeth or something.
He's brushing his
right?
teeth and then he comes in and pisses.
And
Yeah.
takes a piss. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's they invented a bunch of really insane uncomfortable moments. The other one that really sticks out for me is the babysitter, like the random middle-aged dude showing up to be a babysitter.
Oh, yeah.
And they're already halfway out the door and they just feel like they can't object at that point, and it's like it's so easy to watch it and be like, what are you doing? That's insane. But like, I think all of us have certainly been in uncomfortable situations where we were
Dude,
just being
well,
pushed
and then
along by being
he
polite.
comes in later. When he comes, it's dude. This movie is fucked. Like I'm now
Yeah.
remembering so many things that happen. So, the babysitter piece you mentioned, like the dad saying that he's a doctor, explaining. So there's this bit with the son. The son, Abel, is their son, is the bad parent, the bad parents, Patrick and Karen's son. There's this scene where, well, they explain that he's got a speech impediment issue, and then there's this scene where we see the good dad, Bjorn, my boy Bjorn. He goes and he's like outside, like kind of poking around a little because there's a couple outbuildings, like there's a garage, there's like a shed situation, and he Abel comes up behind him and sort of like does this weird thing where he opens his mouth and like you see that his like tongue is like fucked up. Like it's not 100% clear what's going on.
Yeah, but it's
And then-
interesting because they put that pretty early.
It's very
Yeah.
early. No, well, and so then like it's like a scene later that the dad is like, yeah, you know, he's got this medical issue where his tongue is malformed and so on and so forth. And you're like, ah, man, that's tough. And then there's like the parenting stuff where they're doing the like dance sequence.
Oh, that's
And he's
brutal.
getting
yeah.
nasty with the son. It's so
That-
dark. Like this shit is just
That kid just coming up to him and showing him opening his mouth, that was like one of the better scenes in this movie for me, just because it was that moment. And I think when I was watching the movie, I texted you to that gif of the dude from Giant Bomb that's slowly turning his head and blinking his eyes, because that was like my exact reaction. I'm like, what the hell was that?
yeah. Well, again, like you know, like you're watching a horror movie. You know you're watching a horror movie. It's called Speak No Evil. Like there's like a poster.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen a trailer or anything, so I didn't know what the movie was about other than like the one-line description that you see, you know? And so you're sort of like going through it and you're like, well, all right, so this is going to be like a crazy vacation movie and like and it never gets that crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
this is when I was saying before, you never get the sort of like comfort of the genre stuff. It like they never go to a place. It's very realistic might not be the right word, but the plot never goes to a place where it's like crazy genre nonsense happening. It's like
each ratcheting up of the thing is natural feeling. Like
Yeah.
it's very slow in a way that kind of like it has logic to it.
It's nice. They give us some elements though that keep you guessing as a viewer though on as to where they're going. Because I mean I'm always trying to figure out where a movie's going when I'm sitting and watching it, especially when the babysitter shows up and we get introduced to him. Your brain goes automatically to this is a sex ring of some kind, right? Like sex trafficking or something.
You just
and
can't
kids.
you can't
And that's where you're thinking. That's where you start thinking, oh God, this is going to
listen.
be awful.
You can't have middle-aged dude babysitters who are not related to you. You just can't.
no,
Exactly.
no.
And it was that moment where you're thinking, okay, I know where this is going, and it's not. That's not where it's going. So a little spoilery there. It's going different places, and it's not pleasant. But
Now, this is like famously me being slow, but did you guys immediately see the tongue thing and think they cut his tongue out? Because I actually didn't immediately go there.
No, not I didn't.
Yeah, it
I
wasn't.
thought it looked scarred up. Just
It
from the quick
does.
glimpse
It
I
looks
got.
jacked up, but like
in retrospect, it's like super. That's what is brilliant about this movie. Like everything fits together,
Right.
like all
Yeah.
the way back. Like even back to shit that is happening when they're in Italy. You're like, oh fuck. And the way they use the picture, the like family picture, and then that gets pulled through to the like trophy room of pictures.
Oh God,
Is
yeah.
so fucked. It's just like. But no, I didn't immediately go there. And then, again, they build it. You see the kid, you see the scarred tongue. They do the whole scissors bit where they like, I can't even remember. They like show the scissors. The scissors like come up at one point. I can't even remember why. Maybe the kids are like
I missed
playing
that.
with them or something. And it's like, oh yeah, like don't use these old rusty scissors. And then those fucking scissors come back in the like whatever final sequence, and it's just
So I do have a couple like I don't know if complaints is the right word, but like questions, I guess. Like the movie makes a very specific, and maybe we need to get into spoiler territory. Yeah, why don't we talk about the ending? Because then I have kind
Yeah.
of questions about the overall thing.
lay it down, brother.
Will you go ahead?
I mean, you want me to just like give you the rundown here? So the family, Bjorn and Louise. So Louise, the mom, is like never comfortable, and like God bless her, she tries to get out of there a bunch of times. She can't. They never make it. There's like this whole sequence with the they leave, but then the daughter can't find her stuffed animal, so they're like, we got to go back for the stuffed animal, whatever. Then they get talked into staying. I'm trying to remember exactly how it kicks off. Oh well, the father goes outside. And he like wakes up because the lights are on outside, I think, and he like goes out to see what's going on because there's these buildings they've set up. There's like this big garage and then a smaller thing, and there's also a hot tub that I think that's in the smaller building. In any event, he goes out, he like walks into the bigger garage, and it's basically this trophy room of the pictures of Patrick and Karen, and each one has like one child with them and then them with another couple with another child in it, and so it's all these like
It's like a whole wall.
it's like a wall of these 3-person families. And what you realize, and like the way they shoot it is like very explicit. It's like they're basically like trading kids in each vacation, so they're effectively serial killers who are kidnapping the kids, cutting out their tongues, killing the parents, and then running that same playbook over and over and over.
Yeah.
So the father sees all this, and whether it was like he was intentionally showing him or it was like somewhat of a screw up, it's sort of Patrick is like so in command at this point that you sort of assume that it was like somewhat intentional. And so they make a run for it. They run, they try to get in the car. Oh, well, and they find Abel, the son, has been murdered and is just like dead floating in this.
Yeah, they don't
hot
even wait
tub.
for the new one. They're like, you're done.
Huh? Oh, it's like you don't even see it. It's just like, oh yeah, this is like a dead boy now. So they run with the daughter. They get in their car. They're driving away. And like they live far enough, they live in this like pretty secluded place, and like they don't know the roads, and it's fucking dark, it's the middle of the night, and so like they just get lost, and like they're like being harassed. It's like someone's following them, they're not sure. And the long story short is like they get captured. I think they actually stop for gas or something. There's like some, I can't remember. There's like a thing where they stop, and then once they stop, it's done. Like Patrick and Karen are in the car. They've taken the daughter, and like there's been this, and we forgot to talk about it. There's been this like weird setup with like the Karen, who's like the bad mom, parenting the daughter
Right.
in like a really kind of like creepy, aggressive way. That's created some tension. Like speaking to her in Dutch, who knows? Eric, it was interesting. You were talking about the subtitles. Like most of the movies in English, because
Some
these
of it is,
families
yeah.
don't speak. They don't speak the same language. So when they're speaking to each other, they're speaking in English, and then when they're speaking within the families, they're speaking in their own language.
Yeah,
In
that
any
was
event.
kind of interesting because they're both speaking in English, which is not either of their first language.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, basically, like the film then just like it ratchets up to the point where the babysitter shows up, takes the daughter out of the car. They fucking cut her tongue out.
Like on
He
camera.
takes her away. Yeah, on screen. You never see the daughter again. And then there is this like horrific murder, like stoning. It's a stoning, which is like, I don't know. Have we seen that before outside the Bible? Like, I can't think of another
Yeah,
movie
the
where I
stoning
saw
in particular is
actual stoning.
a pretty brutal way to go.
They make it's like, and it's so degrading. Like they make them get undressed. They like make them like walk down into this like quarry thing. Oh man,
That was one of the more chilling moments of the movie too, as we get there, when Patrick basically tells Bjorn and the family that I did it because I think Bjorn asked him, "Why are you doing
he says,
this
"Why
to
are
us?"
you
And he
doing
said,
this?
"Because you let me."
yeah, it's super dark.
Yeah,
Right, which
Yeah.
really
it's
is
the last line in the movie. That's
so like
that's the last line of dialogue.
you know the movie, like that's an interesting thing it does, which is that it chooses to give you no further explanation, and I think that is part of what makes it so brutal and dark. I also like I have a little trouble squaring like what they're doing is just like so specific and patterned. Like my movie brain wanted some motivation. Like the kid thing in particular is so complicated. Like it's not like they're stealing a kid because they want a kid. It's like they just want like a mute kid for a little while and then trade him in for a new one. Like that. I get
figure
wanting
the
to.
tongues so they
I get
can't
wanting to
get
kill.
caught.
I get wanting to kill people. No, I know. But why do you give shit? Why do you want a kid around? But I think what I'm used to is my movie brain that watches movies. Most screenplays would be like, well, they lost their kid and now they're trying to replace, or like, there's zero motivation given, and it's a little weird for me because of how deeply specific the ritual is.
Well,
That
and
there's
like
no motivation.
Casey said something somewhat offhandedly a minute ago about like, dude, who fucking knows what? Like, I think you said like, oh, there's no like, you thought it was like your head went to like child sex trafficking or something.
Right.
Like, who fucking knows what they do with these kids? Like,
Yeah,
the cutting of the tongue is like a visceral thing that we see and experience in this movie, but like that Abel, the like boy, is so fucked up and like demoralized, and he's like trying to communicate, but like he's obviously terrified to like say anything. They don't let him out of his sight. I mean, look, Eric, like to your point, who fucking knows? It's a power thing. It's like a power play. It's like a trophy collection thing. Like,
Yeah, so
I mean,
so I think
you're right. Like it's not
so I'm thinking
explained, but I didn't have trouble.
it's weird. I'm like
thinking
a little
what were they-
50 I'm a little 50-50 on it, because on the one hand I think that mystery actually is partially why the film is so powerful, but also just in some ways while you're watching it, I think it's more like I can square it more with the whole thing once it's over, but then while I was watching it I just was like, okay, but why? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
well,
Well,
we touched on
as
this.
someone who has young kids, yeah.
But
you're
like I
this
understand,
is
but
a-
like
this
I
is a
under
nightmare. Like,
I do understand that that's part of the gambit that this film is taking, like to be that kind
well,
of thing.
they abuse like this is like gonna sound crazy. Like it's like not even worth saying. Like the level of abuse that this kid Abel has suffered, and that then you realize that this girl is going to suffer is so fucking extreme. It's like That's what makes this movie so fucking dark. You're just like,
Yeah.
Yes.
oh my
yeah,
God.
I agree because like
So-
there's absolutely no reprieve for anyone, and it's like I think because of the tone of the film, it's pretty obvious early on that that's gonna be the way it's gonna go, and
Yeah.
and maybe it's just because everybody was like, this movie's so fucked up, so I kind of knew that, but it makes the movie even more grim because it's just like you're just marching toward it, just waiting for what's gonna happen.
But if I had to pick apart this movie, the ending's definitely where I would do it too, and just basically more around Bjorn and Luis than anything character-wise. And we mentioned this briefly at the top, and talking about the difference, like with the Danes and being super polite and whatnot. These people put up with a lot of shit and never leave. And like at the end, when they tell them to get stripped naked, and these people, we see that Patrick and Karen are up on a hill and they are down in a gully. They're out in the middle of the desert. Granted, they're naked, but when they said that they're going to stone them, it was nothing behind them. Why didn't they take off
Yeah.
or
I mean,
try?
Look, like that's a fair, like, it's all like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that here. It's sort of, at this point, they've seen their daughter have her tongue cut out. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like they had reconciled themselves to like,
They're in shock.
well, our lives are over. Like,
I could definitely see that. I mean, I could definitely believe that they'd be in shock too. You just think that the way that was set up was that there would have been more of a fight, but at the same time, you can see where the resignation is, especially after seeing that. It's like, what the hell am I gonna do?
yeah.
Ugh, it's a rough movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Christmas, bloody Christmas.
So what's that movie about, John?
I wouldn't say it lifted me tremendously, but it's a little bit more of a romp. It's more of a romp element.
What's it about?
It's about like a bunch of degenerates just fucking drinking and boning and doing drugs, and then like
dropping F-bombs.
And then like
cool.
a killer robot Santa. So it's a holiday horror movie, and the concept is there's like a military robot that has been like an AI military robot that had been retrofitted to be a mall Santa. And so it's like traveling around, and like they land it in this like whatever podunk town, and then it goes crazy and starts killing people.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Sound like some cool people.
It's something. I don't know. If your expectations are not high, you're gonna have an okay time.
I saw a comment on Twitter or somewhere that there's like more than a porno's worth of F-bombs in this movie.
It's funny, like so it's only like it's like an hour and 24 minutes. It felt like 40 minutes too long. It's like there's so much like shaggy dialogue. They like I guess they thought it was fun to just let them riff / maybe it was written, I don't fucking know, but whew.
Yeah, but they do go hard. Okay. They do go hard on the practical effects in this movie, but like Schneider said, some of them are hard to make out because of the camera work.
Which again, like, not clear. There's good cameras now that don't cost that much money. That was a choice, and it's weird because you're right. Like some of the it's funny the way it goes with the robot. By the end, I'm like, holy shit, they're spending a lot of money on this robot, like making it walk around and stuff, or making it look like it's walking around. But early in the film, it feels very janky. I don't know. It's bizarre. It's a weird movie.
Love it. Well, I don't have anything else to say about Speak No Evil. Do you guys? Any other scenes that stuck out to you? The bar scene where they're like molesting each other. Although I'll be honest, on the list of things they did, I didn't think that was that crazy.
No, totally fine with that. Totally fine with that behavior. And like that bar looked like a good hang. Like I'm cool with that bar. I'm not cool with them leaving the kid with the like rando middle-aged babysitter.
When they go back the next day and they're complaining, what did she call it? A roadhouse?
Yeah.
I like that. Like, what does that mean to them? I want to know.
It wasn't a fancy restaurant. Well, we didn't talk about, the whole bit about her being a vegetarian and Patrick just like giving zero fucks and forcing her to eat meat at one point.
And she does
Just-
it.
She does. Well, exactly. Like that's the thing. There's this like submissiveness to some of their behavior.
Mhm.
And it's, I mean, we don't want to get into victim blaming, but there is this level of like, what the fuck is going, I mean, as Casey said, what's going through their heads
I know.
Yeah.
at each of these points?
Well, because
So-
there was one other scene actually that I kind of had beef with. Like, so after they go back and get like totally gaslit and sucked back in again, then we get the scene where the two dads are together and the good dad starts like opening up about how he like feels lost in life, but it's like I just didn't buy that. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and it feels like you've been made so uncomfortable by this person. The idea that he would then turn around and be that vulnerable with him seemed like really out of left field, and then it just kind of
See-
goes away.
I thought that was set up decently well. Like I thought the character of Bjorn was very well drawn in that
I just thought
you
the
get
idea that
some-
that would happen after they've like escaped the house and come back. I don't know, like it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I think he's just super lonely and does not have a ton. They show them with these friends in
Like his wife, him and his wife seem to have a great relationship. That's what's weird about it. Like they seem good.
Sure, but I part of the point is like having just your wife is not enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And it's
So-
kind of obvious that that's all she had too, is him.
Yeah. It's set post pandemic. I mean, I don't know. You're right. Like he goes to a place that is further. That scene has. There's a bit of he goes further than maybe feels a little natural, but it didn't feel out of line for the character to me.
Not necessarily for the character. I just think with this person, after all that he's seen from him at this
Well,
point.
Yeah.
After this dude's sort of, been bigfooting him left and right. I don't know. Just it's
It's
weird.
Yeah, and after you've tried to like escape once.
He tried to
Mhm.
escape like it was prison. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
pretty wild. All right. Would you recommend this movie, John?
I'm gonna say yes.
Casey?
I'm gonna say yes too.
Yeah, I guess it's conditional for me. Like, do you like disturbing shit? Then
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty
I mean,
You just got to know what you're getting into.
as with everything, we're not saying yes across the board.
I would say I'm not putting it on my top 10 list, most likely. Although I could
Yeah,
see
that's
it.
a
I
good
mean, I'm certain people will. I'm certain some people will.
Joe Ferry, we're looking at you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Some people have expressed outrage
Is that Santa's reindeer?
over a Christmas movie that is this violent, this disturbing, and this raw. Our answer is, you haven't seen anything yet. Black Christmas. Rated R. Everywhere Christmas Day.
This is Jake Busey. You're listening to the Bloody Good Horror Podcast.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. Is it time to reassess Black Christmas 2006, John? It's been almost. I mean, if we're gonna say generous, it's been almost 20 years.
I think that's the one that's the remake because there was a Black Christmas that was like totally different. Or
There's a good one that was made in 1974.
all right, I've seen that. The
Then-
Bob Clark, right?
Yep. Then we did the remake in our first year. That was our first Christmas. We did Black Christmas / Santa Sleigh in one episode. Patreon.com/
Yes.
Bloody
I
Good
saw
Horror.
the 2004. I guess was
Oh, 06.
I saw it in theater when it came out. 06. Okay.
We did it on video, I believe. So I think it was out on video already.
But I never. Then there was one like 2012 or what? What didn't they do?
No,
one
we
that was...
2 years ago, 3 years ago,
Was it
2019.
that recent?
2019.
I haven't seen that one. I
bad.
was not on that show and did not see that one. But
It's extremely bad. And
Is that the one that was on Sci-Fi or something?
no, it wasn't.
No,
It got a
theatrical, I
theatrical. Yeah.
what? Wait. So are you saying the 2006 one is better? Like you regard it more highly than?
No,
you
I mean, I
thought
saw
you
that
did?
movie once so long ago. The only thing I remember about it is we joked about flesh cookies.
Yeah.
That's literally all I remember about that movie. So who knows?
It was. I feel like my memory of it is that it's sort of akin to that. Was it I don't know if it was Platinum Dunes, but it was akin to that Platinum Dunes.
Right, like
Period.
weirdly glossy, like
Yeah. So, I don't know.
man, those remakes. Yeah, that was a dark time.
Maybe 30 years from now, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, those are the real classics."
Mm-hmm.
But
Maybe, John.
and there, Eric will be fucking in his old folks' home, screaming at the wall.
Info at blood. I mean, listen, we've already lived for my prediction of young people growing up and writing think pieces about how good the Star Wars prequels are. We've already lived to see that come to fruition. So,
No one's doing that seriously, though. That's
John,
those people.
you sweet summer child. You're not on the internet, John. You
Yeah.
have no fucking idea.
But Eric, I don't like. No one takes that seriously. There is no human like
No.
people on the internet are
No
like,
one your
let me
age
click
does.
on this to see if this is
No
true.
one your age does. People that are younger than us are just insane. They're all insane.
No. I mean,
John.
that may be true, but
I'm-
none of them are watching those prequels and being like, "Oh, classic."
John, you are so wrong.
No, I did. Look, Phantom Menace. I watched it not that long ago. I think I can't remember if I
It
watched
might
it with
be the best one of those, and it's fucking terrible.
the child actor in that movie is a crime. It's a crime against that child. It's a crime against cinema and the Star Wars universe. He's so fucking bad. Whatever. We don't need to get
That kid, Jake Lloyd, grew up
lives in Noblesville.
No, in Carmel, the next town over where I work.
I've talked about this before in the show, but there's a documentary about the making of the Phantom Menace, and there's a great scene where Lucas and all the producers have just watched the first like assembly cut of the movie, and it's so bad that when the lights go up, they all look like they're gonna vomit. Like nobody claps, like they all look pallid, and then they start going to all these interviews where they're like, "Yeah, we realized like we had a problem." Pretty amazing.
The pod racing was interesting. Like that was
I
they had
think
like one fun thing in it.
I think the best part of that movie is the battle scene with all the clone droid, the droids or whatever, and the force fields, and like I think that's the best part.
Eric's not wrong though. There's a generation out there that's gonna think that those are the bombed. I mean,
Yeah, because
Delaney's
nostalgia is poison.
Beyonce's like 26, and he wanted to watch those before like the latest trilogy.
Well, the latest
When we were
trilogy is
watching-
also fucking garbage. Like, well,
Nah, I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
come on.
episode whatever I can't.
I think the
so
first one was pretty good.
7, fine. 8, I actually thought the middle one, the one that Ryan Johnson did, was the best.
See, I think
Yeah.
that's my least favorite of the three.
The final, hold on, number 9 is unwatchably bad. I literally walked out of the theater and was like,
Yeah.
I can't fucking believe they did this. Like, this is a travesty. Man, it's not even
Which
like
one-
what they
which
did
one
with the
had-
story. It's
which-
just like an embarrassment of a film.
Which one had Leia floating through space? Because that's the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
I think that was a 9.
No,
Yeah,
I think that was
the
the
last
Ryan.
one.
I think that was the Ryan Johnson one, wasn't it? Or no, maybe you're right because she died. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. I am watching Andor right now. It's really good.
I've watched the first one.
See,
I
the
need to
thing
get
is,
back to more.
those movies just made me lose all interest in Star Wars. Like I never even finished The Mandalorian because I just don't care.
That's a
So
shame.
the thing that's great about Andor is like you really don't need. I mean, you don't need to know anything about Star Wars to watch it. Like it's helpful to just like have some grounding in like the Empire versus like what the non-Empire like. But otherwise, you really don't need to know anything, and it's just like a fun sort of like espionage, political, whatever, rebellion story.
Yeah.
Is that Breaking Bad guy's in that? Gus?
Maybe I've seen 6 episodes, I think. I don't know if he's in it yet.
One of those series he's in. Maybe it's in The Mandalorian. I'm not sure.
I think he's in the other one. The Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, and
I watched like one episode of that and was kind of
I
like,
don't care at all about Boba Fett, so.
It was okay. It's more Mandalorian season 3 than
It
anything.
is. It like the Mandalorian's good. The Boba Fett one was like they're gonna try to do it a little differently, and it's a little I don't know. It's a little more adult. It's a little more Western. I don't know. I didn't continue it.
Anyway, Star Wars. Info at bloodygoodhorror.com. John, as you recall. Oh, before we get to that, Whitney wrote in December book club picks. BGH book club pick of December is The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. Join us for the psychological thriller about ghostly secrets, dark choices, and unbreakable bond between mothers and daughters. Discussions on that happen on the BGH book club Reddit, or Slack members can go to hashtag BGH book club channel. That's from Whitney. I just did my episode, John, of How Do You Horror. That's going to be out soon in December. So that'll be on the that'll be on the Patreon feed. If you want to hear me talk more about Jason Lives than I already have on the show.
I wish I knew less about How You Horror actually. So,
Well,
is there an episode for that?
too bad. Caitlin Kissimmee is doing her journey through the back catalog for the 3rd time or something. Episode 306, Dracula
When
Untold.
2 times is not enough.
Episode 306, Dracula Untold. Schnar said his oldest was 8 recently, which hurt me, as I've listened to this podcast since well before he was manufactured. I'm on my 3rd BGH pilgrimage through time, and I wanted to hurt John back and say his son is 7 months old in this Dracula episode. It's okay, so like we're gonna hit 700 this year. So when you're talking about listening 3 times through, that's bananas. Like that's a lot.
God bless you. God bless you.
And again, like she's saying, you're literally hearing us like grow, become old in real time, basically.
Really old, actually.
She continues. Episode 309, The Babadook. The crew says Danny DeVito should play the Babadook, also the little boy.
It'd be a different movie, but
It would. That's true.
I'm still down to watch it.
Yeah.
Episode 311. I can guess what jokes were made in that show. VHS 3 is so bad that Eric agrees to review ABCs of Death 2. Little did he know that VHS 99 would come out and make me understand for the first time ever what John always meant by the phrase offensively bad. Yeah, VHS 99 is one of the worst things I've ever seen. It has the most obnoxious characters and dialogue ever. They have completely given up on any semblance of any logic in their found footage. Like they're just not trying. They're giving any idiot with an idea $50 to go shoot it, and it's depressing because now in retrospect, I would take VHS 3 over the last 2 any day, or 3. Because
I don't remember the 3rd one at all. I mean, from any of the others, but the way people are talking about 99, I kind of want to go watch it.
I'm still upset about it.
Yeah.
I would turn it off after 5 minutes, presumably.
You should watch it. You watch the Santa thing. Come on, John.
I watched Christmas Bloody Christmas, or I keep wanting to call it Bloody Christmas Bloody, which doesn't make any sense.
That's it for emails. What do you got on Twitter?
All right, on Twitter, we got a couple tweets out there. First up, we have @RelOnFilms. Hey, BGH crew, what 3 horror movies could you watch for the rest of your lives?
I'm gonna say In the Mouth of Madness, The Thing,
That's interesting.
and The Shining.
Nice.
2 Carpenter.
Those are all really bleak, though. Don't you want something that's like a little lighter?
Fair enough. Dead Alive. Swap in for
Dead Alive? Okay.
The Thing.
This
I don't
is
know.
easy for me because I basically already live this way. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
say
watch through.
Jason Lives, Return of the Living Dead, and I'm gonna throw a curveball in there because this is like a late comer to my like I watch this movie 10 times a year routine. Session 9.
Yeah.
I watch Session 9 like every 3 to 4 months at least.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Mine are all-
It's a great movie.
It's
but
so good.
Yeah, it is a good one.
It has a
I would
cadence.
have-
It has a cadence to it I find oddly soothing.
I can see that. I would have to go probably like the first Friday. Friday the 13th. I watched that a couple times a year already. Night of the Creeps would be a good one. That one's I always enjoy. It's a great Tom Atkins movie. And I don't know on the third one. The third one's tough because I rewatch a lot of stuff. So I had a good one in mind, but it slipped my mind now. So I'm gonna stick with those 2 for the moment.
You only need 2.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll throw Poltergeist in there for the third. I love that movie too. So
So,
all right. Next up, our good longtime listener, longtime friend @Whitney, please. What's one of the most awkward conversations moments you've had in life?
Why are you asking this?
It wasn't me
Come on,
answering that
Whitney.
last tweet.
Not gonna get into this right here. I mean, once you've been married, you're gonna have all kinds of fucked up conversations, right? So,
Oh yeah.
whew.
All right. Next up, @The Nun Club. I'm usually fine with dumb decisions in horror movies. It's a trope for a reason, but the couple in this movie went above and beyond. By the end, I was irate like a rabid Brock Lesnar. Has any other protagonist's fate brought upon their own idiocy been more deserved?
I mean, deserved is a little harsh. It is frustrating, but I think that's part of the movie. That's part of the whole deal.
Yeah.
Is your frustration in watching it.
Yeah. I mean, I can see a certain shock trauma scenario where somebody could find themselves in that.
No, well, and as Eric called out, like the amount of gaslighting that goes on when they go back in that house, I don't know. It's not wrong to say that it's brought on or deserved, but it's also harsh.
Yeah.
There's definitely I mean, a lot of horror movies are based on people getting murdered for doing way dumber shit than this. So
I forgot to add at the back when Eric first called me on me at the top of the show, but that's the other terrifying thing about this movie, and it kind of goes with this question. Out of the 3 of us, I'm the one that's going to wind up in this situation. I'm the extrovert out of all of us, and I talk to anybody.
yeah, least willing to walk away from from a conversation.
Yeah, see, I would never end up in this scenario in this movie because there's no way I'm going to vacation at their house in the first
Yeah,
place.
see, I'd like to be polite, and I will talk to anybody. And I won't. I'll
And
do
if
the
you-
ope a couple times. Ope.
And
Well-
and like a postcard's the easiest thing in the world to ignore.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
whoops, didn't get that.
Yeah, to be fair, if there's a postcard showed up, I would not read it. It would get thrown away instantly.
They wanted to go, like they wanted to be on vacation with these folks, and it was like
Yeah, that's the problem with vacation.
I don't know. I didn't find it that crazy.
All right, last one here. I mean, before I get to that last one, I mean, Eric, we've gone camping with strangers out in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. So
That's
I mean,
true.
we do them somewhat, but
That's
still,
true.
it's not that
There you
different.
Nah, I knew them. Though.
Could've been
I
murdered.
guess it could have gone.
Could
bad.
have been murdered.
Could have gone bad.
Could have
but
been.
You never know.
It
All
could
right,
be a long play. Like next time you go, fucking
Yeah.
straight murder.
You never know.
So
They know your sleeping habits now.
there you go.
All right. Last up, at Leaky Pencils, what's the most uncomfortable, suspenseful family horror movie? My vote would be Hereditary. You?
Dude, those dinner scenes in Hereditary though are like legendary. Like,
Yeah.
man, if you had all grew up in a family that like had problems with conflict, like it's impossible to watch Hereditary. Like I've never gone back and watched it again for that exact
Oh
reason.
yeah. I don't know that I could think of a better one than that just because of those scenes. And that's all we got for tweets out there tonight. How about Instagram, Eric?
Let's take a look. What do we got? I did remember today. All right. This is from our friend Caitlin at the Plug It Up podcast. Is your Christmas shopping done? I did a bunch of it Black Friday, but it's definitely not done. And then I got sick like 2 days after that.
So we have a similar situation in that we did a bunch during the Black Friday, like Thanksgiving period. Shit's been a little crazy since then. Health stuff, like kids sick, we running around like crazy. Literally, Suzanne and I looked at each other, I guess it was like 2 nights ago, and we're like, oh, and so the issue we have is we ship it all to where we're going because we're not going to be at our house for Christmas. So it's all like all these packages have been delivered to her parents' house where we're going to be on Christmas Day. We're going to go down, like we're going down on Christmas Eve. I'm going to be up to like 2 a.m. wrapping shit, which is going to be the worst, but whatever. It's better than like having to figure out how we get it all down there. We don't even know it's there at this point. We're just like, what did we buy?
Aren't your in-laws retired? They got nothing to do. They can wrap that shit. Come on.
I mean, if we asked my mother-in-law, she would definitely wrap it, but it's sort of like, I don't know.
Mother-in-laws, you know, like moms live for that shit.
I know. You're right. Like I actually expect a text like at some point in the next couple of days where she'll be like, hey, do you want me to do any wrapping? And I'll be like, no.
Too polite.
We'll get it.
Too polite, John. You didn't learn your lesson from this movie.
I know. And I'll be like, please don't murder me or cut anyone's tongue out when I'm there. But
I don't want to rub it into you guys, but I've reached the age that almost everybody's getting cash and they're happy about it, except for the parents.
I've gotten to that place with I think I was saying this recently, but like my 11-year-old nephew, like I have no idea what to get you, dude. Here's a gift card.
Yeah.
What are you getting your nephew? I get my nephews. It's like, hey, I'm not gonna, be an asshole to you for 1 day, so you're lucky. And
yeah.
Well, see, it's nice too. I get to go out for bourbon with my nephew now. He's old enough.
All right. If Scream 6 is going to New York, how much screen time should be devoted to the boat trip to the city?
At least the third, right?
I take this as a besmirching of the good name of Jason Takes Manhattan, so let's back off that a little bit. Did you see the?
Is it going to be in New York? I didn't know that.
It is.
I know there's
a teaser came out today where they're on the subway, and they get attacked by Ghostface, and it's Halloween, John, so nobody cares that he's Ghostface.
Guys, this might bring me back to the Scream franchise after a lot of being gone.
Dude, after the last one, I got zero hype for this one. It comes out in March, so we're going to find out soon. Must-see holiday horror movies. I watched Krampus again recently. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Krampus is up there.
It's good. Adam Scott, David Koechner, Toni Collette. How do you go wrong?
Yep.
That is a good cast. I forgot about that. It's really good.
It really is. I'm always down for the original Black Christmas. A lot of the holiday horror stuff is just not great.
Yeah.
Bloody Christmas, bloody. Don't put it on the list.
I'm curious. Joe Bob's doing a Christmas stream this Friday, and we'll see what and he says both movies are holiday themed. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Santa's Sleigh is definitely worth a watch, but it's not for everybody. It's more funnier to me than anything that they have Goldberg playing Santa Claus.
It's just the opening scene of that movie, and then you can turn it off.
Yeah. I guess you guys didn't see Violent Night. Have we gotten feedback on Violent Night?
Not yet.
David Harbour, isn't that his name?
Oh, I think I heard some people saying they liked it.
Yeah, I think I've seen
it
some
did pretty
positive.
well.
Yeah. How long
he's
did
a handsome dude. I could see it on that alone.
How long did you stare at a wall feeling dead inside at the end of this movie? I'm gonna
I
tell
think
you,
I still am doing that.
I was fine. I actually rolled right off me. I was like, meh, that was pretty crazy. Because you guys like had me thinking I was in for
Well,
Serbian film too.
Honestly, if I had to watch one of them, I might watch Serbian film again.
No
Yes.
fucking way, dude. No way.
I know it's real grim. I've blacked most of that out, I think, but
This is the last question. I don't even know how to answer this. What's the worst thing you ever said to someone or / that someone said to you? I don't know why. It's just like that Whitney question. Or is that from this movie? I guess.
I don't know. I'm sure I've said something awful to someone at some point.
I used to get called Pumpkinhead in high school. That was pretty rough.
That's pretty brutal.
You get called Jerry Garcia all the time now, and
Yeah. Well, that's a lot easier to take than Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead. Jesus Christ. Kids are the worst.
It wasn't even connected to the movie, unfortunately.
It's just you had a big head.
It's just because I have a gourd head.
The kids, you were like, "Oh, I like that movie." And they were like,
So-
"What?"
No.
That's it for questions, John. Can you look at the calendar? Like, are we wrapping up here? Like, or
Yes.
is the next show the year ender, or we have another one? That's my question.
So, all right.
Oh, I
we
get
can
it.
talk
This
about
week was
quick.
probably supposed to be that Santa movie, right? But we punted last week.
Yeah.
So next week is 12/23 would be when the episode comes out. We'll record it on Wednesday, which is the 21st. I can do a show, and then we could do our year ender. Would be, I guess, the 28th,
I could do
and it
that.
would come out on the 30th.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, I'm on vacation that week, so I am down.
I think we got to get Bones and All in, right? Like, isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think that was the consensus.
Sure.
Okay.
Consensus as in me and John.
Yeah.
No,
That
that's
sounds
cool.
good.
I've heard enough positive on that I think that's the way to go. So
Yeah. I
Um,
think it's going to be a better discussion than Christmas Bloody Christmas.
I'll ask you guys while we're here. Like, I sent an email out that was like, "Hey, please fill in your best of list."
oh well, my
And
list
no
is
one,
my list is done. I just got to put it in.
no one responded, and so I'm a little like, "What the fuck's going on, guys?"
Okay.
But
Well,
I
if
don't
you're-
know that
people
that
are
many
saying.
people saw it, John, because I saw Whitney was asking in the BGH work Slack a little bit ago on if they should start posting lists.
Well, so I only sent it. I sent it out to a
Gotcha.
smaller list.
for
and
people
I
that are
am-
on the show.
Yeah, well, I sent it out to anyone
I
who's
remember
been
that
on
now.
the pod, and I am very open to more voters, but I do need some email addresses, which I did email Sheldon about, and this is me shaming him on the air. So, but yeah, anyone,
I will get
We
that
can-
to you tomorrow, John.
let's pick this up after the show.
Love it. Well, it's good we said this. Hopefully people are listening and can be shamed now. So, all right. That's going to do it for BGH. We're back. I'm still alive. I'm going to go take my last antibiotic right now. And it's been like 10 years or something since I've been on antibiotics. I had a good run.
10 years, Jesus.
It's been
Christ.
I never have to go on them. It's crazy, but I can no longer
I'm
say that.
usually at least once a year, I think.
All right.
Excuse me.
Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Bless you, John. Hope everybody's having a good December. We'll talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.